Hello and welcome to the Wednesday night Grumpy Sound Guy show. I am Mr. J.R. Everhart, your Grumpy Sound Guy himself. This week we are going to talk about prepping for the summer concert, season. And this is a very broad subject, and I'm not even going to remember all the things that I need to do to prepare for the summer season, but I'm just going to kind of let you into the world of CLP audio a little bit and just tell you about some of the things that we are going through and things that we do regularly each year, each spring, to prepare for the summer season. So please, in the comments, leave me the things that you go through. Like I said, this is a broad subject. I'm not going to touch on everything. I'm not going to hit everything. And I'm genuinely interested in what some of you guys do to prepare for the summer season. Obviously, most of our summer stuff is outside, so there's always all kinds of weather-related issues and that sort of thing. So I always make sure, like today, I went into Harbor Freight and picked up a handful more tarps. I already have a whole boatload of tarps, but I'm kind of the mindset that you never really have enough tarps no matter what. Obviously, you want to try and set up your situation where you have to deal with the least amount of water and rain and wind and all that kind of stuff as possible. All of us guys that have mobile stages and stuff like that and are outside all summer long, one common denominator with all of us is we are glued to that Weather Channel app on our phone, watching the radar in real time, trying to be prepared for success. A trick that I do at a lot of my outdoor shows is I'll leave like the amp farm and control racks and that kind of stuff all in the truck and park it close to the stage and just run cabling out the door of the truck into the stage area, and that sort of thing. That way, if a storm is coming, then we can pull the door down on the truck, shut everything down, and, be good to go, that way. We do that actually a lot, especially when we have the stage out, because we can kind of hide the truck behind the stage or whatever. But so that's just a little for free tip that we do in CLP audio world. That's not always possible. There's some events where you can't keep the truck next to the stage, so you got to put pop-ups up and all that kind of stuff, and that's where the tarps really come in handy and that sort of thing. We are starting to get multiple systems out at the same time, which means we have to duplicate everything that we do, which is incredibly expensive. I have been preparing for this for the last 2 or 3 years, building up inventory to be able to do that. And I've still already probably spent not even to the end of the first quarter of this year. And I bet I've already spent, 15 grand or something, maybe 18 grand or whatever on gear, preparing for the summer season. And it never fails, no matter how much gear you have, there's always an event that's going to come in that's going to require something you don't have. That's extra special. This year I swore that I wasn't going to spend any more money than I absolutely had to, and I haven't. And was really just going to try to use the inventory that we have in place and, just pound down a bunch of debt this year. We don't have an enormous amount of debt. We're very blessed that way, but, the further out of debt you are in this business, the easier it is to be successful. Because it's a never-ending process of buying equipment. Equipment breaks, equipment gets outdated, and you got to update it. Again, events come in that need equipment you don't have, so you're always in this cycle of buying equipment. I'm constantly on Facebook Marketplace and eBay and Reverb.com and all those, type of sites, looking for deals. And when I find crazy deals on cabling, especially like speaker cables, copper's outrageous these days. Split snakes. I just bought I'm going to say it's probably at least a $2,500 split snake, Whirlwind, 24 channel split snake for $800 on eBay. I was in the right place at the right time. and was the first guy to pull the trigger on it, and now it's in my inventory. It's a beautiful thing. So I try to take advantage of that stuff whenever we can. So in preparing for the summer season is getting inventory correct and looking at the shows you have on the books, because let's see, to timestamp this video, I think we're the second or third week, third week into March or something, fourth week into March, something like that. We're coming to the end of March. Yeah, this weekend is the end of March. I'm sorry, I'm so busy, it's hard for me to even realize what month I'm in, because I'm in the calendar so much in like June to October. And most of our summer's already gone. We have some Fridays open and 1 or 2 Saturdays, I think, or whatever, but we're pretty much booked solid. So that is what it is. So you take a look at that calendar, you take a look at the events you have coming up, you try to be intelligent about what gear you're going to need, how you're going to staff those events, and how to be prepared for it. So here are a list of things that we have on our plate right this very second that we worked on today and that we'll be working on tomorrow. And that is, I just pulled the trailer back down to the shop here. I kind of parked it over the winter. I had an axle go bad on that. We're going to put an axle in that thing in the next week or two and get the 716 trailer back on the road. We bought a 14-foot box truck over the winter when the trailer went down, which we were in desperate need of a second vehicle, and really could probably use a cargo van, to take a sea rig out with. But you know what? One step at a time, man. Like I said, there's just never an end to it. So we're trying to do maintenance to all that stuff. Listen, guys, if you're a guy who uses an enclosed trailer to move your gear around, that's a great way to do that. I highly encourage that. I always tell guys to take advantage of that for insurance purposes. It's just easier. It's less maintenance. But this is the time of year where you really need to pull those wheels off and hand pack those wheel bearings in those things. Put a brake kit on it if you need a brake kit on it, if you have a trailer that has electric brakes. Usually every other year I do a complete brake job on my enclosed trailer. And you can get those in kits where you get new wheel bearings, the whole brake, electric brake assembly, shoes, everything's already put together. All you do is bolt it on the axle, pack the wheel bearings, put the thing together, and bam, you're done. You connect 2 wires. It doesn't even matter how you connect the wires. The brakes work either way. It's just a really easy upgrade to do. It costs about $1,000. So every other year or every 3 years, I try to do that. But every year, especially if you're doing a lot of miles and you're carrying a lot of weight in your trailer, every year, I don't use the easy grease fittings on the end of the axles. That will pump some grease back into that inner bearing to a certain degree. It's better than nothing, but I don't trust it, man. I've seen too many of these things come apart. I hand packed the bearings in my trailer, and the thing that happened with mine was we were coming home from a gig and it looked like the inner seal gave out and it fell down on that bearing. And I had just hand packed those bearings like a month before that, and then slowly worked its way off the bearing down onto the spindle and just ruined the spindle. That's why we're putting an axle in it, because the spindle's just trash now. Luckily, we were, 2 miles from home when that happened on the interstate, so it wasn't that big of a deal. We made it within about, half a mile of the shop and had to stop. We actually lost the wheel off the trailer at that point. We had to stop and recover the wheel and kind of ratchet strap it to the front of the trailer to get the last half mile to the shop on 3 wheels. But that's what we did. And, I wasn't really wanting to dig into that. That was in like November or something. So I just parked it for the winter. So now we're digging into that. Cables, all your Speakon NL4, NL2 cables, you should pull them, all those connectors apart at least once a year and tighten all the little set screws up on those to make sure that your cables aren't pulling out on them. If you don't do it every year, at least do it every like 18 months or something. If you use the stuff, I'm doing 180 shows a year. So, if your gear is getting that kind of work, trust me, these are things that are going to save you huge amounts of drama at a gig, because this is the kind of stuff you do to keep your systems from falling apart at the gig. You want to discover the problem at the shop on a Wednesday, not when the headliner's in the middle of a set with the absolute most momentum going on in the show, it's the climax of the show, and you got stuff cutting in and out, and there's issues. And, we already deal with a bunch of that stuff as it is, with things that are out of our control with power and stuff like that. But, everything that we can do to keep that stuff, in check, we're being, diligent, on our end of it. So we're consistent in everything that we do. We pull all the amp racks apart, blow them out with compressed air, blow out all the amplifiers with compressed air. About once every 3 or 4 years, I'll actually open the amplifiers up and do a full service on them, blow them out, check everything, look over all the solder points, all the transistors, make sure there's nothing swollen, leaking, or black. A lot of those ceramic resistors sometimes will take a beating, and they're typically the thing that fails. So I'm looking at those. Take a dry paintbrush and get in there and make sure you're getting all the dust bunnies out of the little plastic cooling fans, that sort of stuff. I pull down all my intelligent lights, usually every 18 months, depending on how much I'm out. If I'm out a lot, I might do that in the middle of the summer, and then again at the end of the season. It depends on how much the gear's out, If we do a week at a county fair where there's horses running around and there's dust everywhere, I'll probably pull all those movers apart when I get them back to the shop that week. It's a painstaking process to do that preventive maintenance, but the number one cause of failure in movers is a lack of cooling air. Overheating. Overheating is what causes the failures. It burns up LED circuit boards and that kind of stuff. So that's stuff that I do on the regular. Anything that has a question mark on it. If I'm using something at a gig and something funny happens, like I'll give you an example. I had a day festival last fall that was phenomenal. We had such a good time there at that place, and we're going back again this year. But the power that they supplied for us was dirty, man. It was not cool, and we were getting a little blip in our front of house system every now and then because the amps were browning out bad. It was just not a cool scenario, and there was nothing else we could do. We were just getting through the day. We just had to ride it out. When we're coming back this year, we're bringing our generator, our 28K generator, and then we'll be fine. But even though I knew that the issue was power, when I got back to the shop that week, I pulled all the amp racks apart. I replaced all the patch cables in the amp racks and the control racks, blew everything out, serviced everything. I just wanted to be 1,000% sure that wasn't something on my end. Now, I did a boatload of troubleshooting at the gig to try and pinpoint what was going on, just in case it was something on my end. Because look, I'm not somebody who's going to blame everything on, somebody else or something else. Sometimes it is my rig. Sometimes something in my rig's not working right. I mean, we use this stuff to death, and sometimes it breaks. That's just the way the cookie crumbles, ladies and gentlemen. So I never have a big, crazy, ego that it's never my gear, that it's always your gear or your power or your, fill in the blank, whatever excuse you want to use. Sometimes it's something of ours that is failing. It's just the way it is. So that wasn't the case in this scenario, but it made me very nervous. So I just wanted to be, and it was at the end of the season. It was like, I don't know, an October show anyways. So I'm like, it's time to, to kind of look through things anyways. So I did that. We haven't had any issues out of that system. We've been using that system all winter in our bigger club rooms. No issues. So I am 99.3% sure that was power, or I solved the problem with a bad patch cable or something in one of the racks. I don't know. I really don't think it was on my end. I did what I had to do to make me sleep better at night because I'm super, super detailed and anal retentive about a lot of this stuff. So I don't leave any stone unturned when I think there's something going on. Monitor wedges. Go through all your monitor wedges and make sure horns aren't blown. We tend to blow horns sometimes. I have 6 feet from me is a box full of horn diaphragms for all of the horns and all of our wedges. We have 10 wedges, I think. We have, let me get it right. No, we have 12 wedges. We have 6 that are 15 in a horn and 6 that are 12 inch in a horn. They're all Yamaha. Club Series stuff, and they all use the same horn diaphragm. So we haven't blown a horn diaphragm in quite a while. But every now and then, if you got somebody running monitors that's not super experienced, and you got an artist on stage that just keeps asking for more and more and more and more and more, then, you know, you get somebody trying to make the artist happy and they end up blowing something up. You know, it happens. I mean, we try to avoid that at all costs, but it happens. You know, so go through all that kind of stuff. You know, it doesn't hurt to at least every 18 months or 2 years to just pull the horn lens out of your wedge and look inside at the crossover that's in it and make sure it's not burnt up or on the verge of being burnt up. If it's brown or black or anything like that, or it looks like it's really been beat up with some heat, I just go ahead and replace them, you know, because then you're just saving yourself what you know is going to be a failure. It's just a matter of time. I just go ahead and replace the stuff. I am working on a ramp right now, right here. You see that ramp that is sitting there on that trunk full of power distro cables, feeder cable. That's a ramp that we just purchased for a gig that it's going to kick off this Saturday. To be able to get us down a set of steps. And then we have a landscaping trailer full of plywood out here that we'll be painting black all day tomorrow, that we're gonna lay on top of gravel in order to be able to roll our racks and everything 30 feet to the stage without having to drag our stuff through gravel. This is a good time of year to take an inventory of the wheels on all your stuff, because listen, man, the wheels are the lifeblood of everything that we move. Everything we do is heavy. So we spend a lot of money on wheels. You know, we put everything on wheels, you know, because we don't want to lift anything more than we absolutely have to. It's bad enough we got to push it up hills and up ramps and, you know, all that kind of jazz or whatever. The last thing we want to do is have to, you know, push that stuff through gravel or whatever. So if you have a questionable wheel on a rack that you think might be going bad, well, if you think it might be going bad, then it's probably going bad. You know, don't wait for it to go bad and then you're stuck at a gig with a horrible load in and the wheel quits working or locks up or God knows what else, because that's always the way it goes. Murphy's Law is such a huge part of this. And what you're doing by performing all this preventive maintenance is you're robbing Murphy from all of her, you know, power of her law of if something can go bad, it will go bad. You're robbing her of that by doing your due diligence with your maintenance and stuff like that. You know, I blow out everything in all of our Wi-Fi mixers. You know, I don't know, I think we've got 4 or 5 of those now. I'm trying to think, cabling's a big thing. I go through all my cablings, I inventory cables. I have little like 1/2-inch gaff tape around the end of each XLR cable with a number on it. That way it's easy to troubleshoot at a gig. So if you have, you know, a big band on stage, say like a, you know, 8-piece band or something, or somebody that's got like a huge keyboard world going on and you got a gaggle of XLRs out, you know, when you get to the stage box, you know, there's usually 2 feet tall of XLRs stacked all up on top of each other. Well, if you get one that's giving you an issue, having them numbered makes it incredibly easy to troubleshoot. So if the kick XLR is giving me an issue and that goes into a drop snake that goes to the stage box, well, then I can look at it, you know, and say, hey, well, that's number 3 on the cable. I know it's number 3 at the drop snake, and then in the kick channel of the drop snake over at the stage box. It just makes things easier to troubleshoot. You know, I do that with all my XLRs. So I go through all that stuff. If there's anything questionable in those XLRs, I toss them out. I used to repair them and put different ends on them, you know, buy new Nutrix ends and replace them, but I just don't have time for it anymore. I just order more. We're to a place in our business to where we have budget where we can just buy new cables. And we're really good with our cables. I mean, I bark at my guys constantly about cable management and wrapping over under and all that kind of stuff to really save us as much money as we can on cabling, because man, copper's crazy cray expensive right now, and I don't see it coming down anytime soon. So I just really kind of look around at, you know, what needs to be done. we're doing maintenance on the vehicles. The box truck is ready for its first service job. We'll probably be doing that. When I'm underneath that, we bought that used. It's an '07. So it had been well taken care of, and the truck's in great shape. We got very, very lucky to get that from a really good guy that was taking good care of the truck. It doesn't really need anything, but when I do a service job, I have a mechanic background. My father was a diesel mechanic, and this shop that I run CLP Audio out of now used to be my father's business, Tri-State Truck Repair. This is where he worked on semis and dump trucks and things like that. So I kind of have that sort of background. So I do most of the service work on our vehicles myself. I enjoy it. I enjoy changing the oil and doing a service job. When I get underneath the box truck, I'll be looking everything over. I'm looking at the carrier bearing on the drive shaft, the U-joints, the condition of the suspension, obviously brakes, stuff like that. I might pull a wheel off. If tires need to be rotated, it'd be a good time to rotate tires. We do all that kind of stuff. We're right on the verge of the warm weather insanity kicking off. Once we get through Easter, it starts getting crazy. So before we get in full on, let's just hold on to our hat and ride the roller coaster of the summer concert season, we're trying to, clock some hours here at the shop and get everything prepared so that we don't have to dig into a bunch of this stuff in July and August when we're super crazy busy. So, that I have a 3/4 ton diesel pickup that is ready for oil change, fuel filters. We're going to pull the stage out in about 2 weeks, and we'll be going through all that. I'll get underneath the stage, look everything over there, grease anything that needs to be greased and serviced, check air pressure in the tires that's been setting. We'll actually deploy the stage right here at the shop and make sure, everything is working well with all that. It runs off of 12-volt marine grade cable winches is what raises and lowers the roof of the stage. So we're going to put those things through their paces, make sure that the deep cycle batteries that run that stuff is in good shape. The charger on that has kind of been acting a little goofy, but it has been charging the batteries. At least it was in the fall. So we're going to take a good hard look at that if we need to replace that battery charger. It's kind of a trickle charger that keeps the 12-volt deep cycle batteries topped off. Then, we're going to replace that. Now it's time to do it, not when we're going to go set the stage up somewhere, We have like I mentioned earlier, we own our own 28K gasoline generator. We're probably going to add a second one of those to our inventory this year just to have some redundancy with that. I had a generator crap out on me last year for a summer festival that was a rental and was very, very disappointing and really, really busted my groove. So I went and bought my own brand new generator after that. And guys are like, well, why'd you buy a gas generator? Why didn't you get a Whisper diesel generator? Well, because this thing was, $3,500, $4,000. And a diesel Whisper generator is like 20 grand. And that generator has already paid for itself twice over in the last year. We've only had it a year. But, it's going to get an oil change. It's going to get, run through its paces. I did have it started up last week and ran it for a while, let it get up to operating temperature. It seems to be fine. We had to replace a 50 amp range plug in it last year because we had a plug go bad that kind of heated up the input connector. And I didn't like it. I probably could have made it work, but I didn't like it. So I just got online and bought another range plug for it and replaced that. So we're good to go with that. All the things, it just keeps going on and on and on and on. There's never an end to the things that you can do to do maintenance. That doesn't count mic stand maintenance. Mic stands are always falling apart, that kind of thing. I use DM Pro mic stands. I know everybody's into K&Ms and stuff like that. They're good mic stands. I'm not knocking K&M, but the DM Pros are just as good, in my opinion, better made. But you got to go through them and make sure they're all doing what they should be doing, and you don't have things broken and little wing nuts that you use to tighten the telescoping boom and stuff isn't broken. I got on eBay and bought a bunch of those aftermarket because the only problem with the DMs is a little plastic ear that you use to tighten and loosen the telescoping boom would fall off. So you just left with a little brass fitting. So I got on eBay and bought some T-nut screws and just keep a gaggle of them in my control rack drawer. And when one breaks, I just take a pair of pliers, take out the brass fitting, and put in the eBay, wing T-nut, dude, and you're good to go. Good to go. I'm sorry, my nose is running. The allergies are kicking in. Seasonal allergies are kicking my ass already. So, little things like that. I know that kind of seems minute and ridiculous, but it is what it is, All the gear needs to be gone through, all the speakers, we need to make sure everything's cool there. If there's anything that even gives me, any question that something is wrong, with a sub or a horn in something, anything that makes me feel uneasy. I make a note of it at the gig. I might put a little piece of gaff tape around the handle or something, or put a piece of gaff tape on the back of the cabinet and say write check on it with a silver Sharpie. And then when I get back to the shop that night or at the end of the weekend, I'm going to swap that sub out or that speaker out with another one here in inventory. And that week, that thing's coming apart. We're going to tear it down and we're going to see what's going on with it. It's just time to think about all that stuff. All your haze machines probably need cleaned out, to keep the nozzles on those things clean and that sort of thing. I had a pump go bad. I bought a snow machine last year that I was going to use for a summer thing, and it just didn't work out. But I bought it used and got the thing, and the pump somebody had left fluid in it and it froze up and broke. It had a plastic pump in it. So I bought another pump, so I need to put a new pump in that thing. It's just, like I said, it goes on. I tell people all the time, all I got to do is walk in the shop and look around, and I can find a dozen different things to do. I got a DI box here that I bought that, took a crap on me, that I need to tear apart and see if I can fix it or send it back to Radial. I think the transformer's fried in it, but who knows? We'll see. All on the list of things to do, and that's just physical stuff. That doesn't count all the stuff that we have to do in terms of, doing contracts, bidding jobs, and taking care of the paperwork side of the business, because I do all that too. I'm kind of a one-man band here when it comes to that stuff. I have a bunch of guys that work for me to go out and execute shows, but as far as the paperwork and all the day-to-day, operations of the company, I do all that. So, so this video went a little long. Work with a guy, I'm trying to give you as much information and as much bang for your buck as I can. So don't get mad at me because we went over the 20-minute mark. I've been trying to keep it to 15 or 20 minutes. But look, this stuff is important, man. Like on your trailer, I can't stress this enough. It deserves to be repeated. Pull those wheel bearings apart, hand pack them by hand. Don't just squirt a couple shots into the Easy Lube thing. Pull the wheel off, pull the bearings out, pack it, check your brakes, adjust your brakes up if you have to. You don't want to have a wheel come off on, 695 Baltimore or DC Beltway 495 on Friday rush hour, because that's always when it's Murphy's Law, dude. That's always when it's going to go bad. Or in the pouring down rain at 3 a.m. in the morning along some highway somewhere. Man, do the work now so you don't have any of that stuff to deal with. I absolutely hate breakdowns, and I pay AAA a boatload of money to try and have another layer of protection there to help us get to and from places and that sort of thing via tow truck if we have to. But man, it sucks. It just blows dog to have to even change a tire along the road somewhere. I have everything to do it. I have cordless impacts, the whole nine. I'm ready to go. I'm as equipped as a NASCAR pit crew, but I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it, in the pouring down rain at 3 a.m. along some busy highway, or at 5 o'clock during rush hour on some Capital Beltway somewhere. It's do it now, because it's going to be way easier and less expensive to do it now than it will be if you got to deal with something out on a job. And when it comes to gear, it might cost you a gig. Never fails, man. Murphy's Law will show up on a gig where you need to make a good first impression and you need to, land this job, land this client, land this band, whatever it is you're trying to, to build from. Man, it's always on those gigs when things go bad. I had one about 2 years ago with a band that I was really looking forward to working with, first time out of the gate, and it was nothing but problems all night long. Worst night that I've had in probably, I don't even know, 20 years. And haven't had a horrible night like that since then, knock on wood. I mean, Lord help us all. So hit me up in the comments. Give me your opinions. Tell me what it is that you guys do, for preventive maintenance to prepare for your summer concert season. Like and subscribe to the channel. If you like this content, share the content. Help a guy out here. You're getting this for free. Is it really that much trouble just to smash that subscription button and hit the notification bell so you'll know when I post a new video? That reminds me too, we've been doing the Sound Guy Bingo series and the shorts and reels. Just has been blowed up like a tick in the summertime. I'm telling you right now, it's been huge. So make sure you get over there and check out those YouTube shorts and Facebook reels and over on TikTok with the Grumpy Sound Guy, because we've been having a lot of fun with the Sound Guy Bingo card. So until next week, see ya!